All right. Welcome everybody to Cycle Jerks Podcast, episode 136. We're joined today, as always, with my co-host, the bright and shiny Dave Dalton.
Not
Uh,
this morning. I'm not bright and sunny at all.
All
Fucking
right.
pissed
Hey,
off.
hang on a sec.
Okay.
So our guest today is somebody I'm super excited to have on the program. He'll be joining us in a few minutes. His name's David Lieb. And he's a Crankworks athlete, free ride, trail rider, just an absolute boss on a bike. And so he'll be joining us soon and looking forward to it. All right, Dave. So how you doing, buddy? Come on. It's Monday. Let's
I
go. We
know,
got
and
to start.
it's only 7:19, and I'm just pissed off. You know, look, there's the old saying, most of our wounds are self-inflicted, but I'm
Yes.
trying to do the right thing. By the way, I'm thrilled actually because Jeff Linoski and Trail Boss Academy is now on for as a sponsor.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, pretty awesome, right? So
Yeah.
listeners, check out Trail Boss Academy. I'll go into more detail on Facebook and Instagram, but they've got some awesome on trail clinics. There's some of them coming up in Haas in Arizona and at the Sedona Mountain Bike Festival. They got one on appropriate to David's here, right? And
Yeah.
they got one-on-one clinics. But the
Yeah.
reason I'm pissed off is, I try to do their social media, and I'm a bit of a perfectionist. So I got to post my account. I got Cycle Jerks. I've got the pedal project that I'm on. And I was posting about Jeff on Trail Boss, and I thought I was doing it on Cycle Jerks, and I did it on mine. And now I don't know why it just irks me, but it just irks me. And then you got to change the tense, right? So when we're on Cycle Jerks, or you should go to, it's on mine. I say you got to go to Cycle Jerks, and then I end up going through. I have posted on 6 different places. I have to go back and edit all the time, and it's
You
my
poor
fault. Okay,
thing.
there.
You
I
poor thing.
know.
I thought there was something really that happened that maybe, is causing some pain with the
I,
family and everything. No, this is just some little nuanced
you know,
internet
it,
foible.
Mike, I'm 63 and I don't have much time, and
Yeah.
time is very important to me.
I guess at your age, we should be thankful that you know how to
Count.
work the internets.
Thank you. The
Yeah.
TikTok. Yeah, I
The,
got to get me a TikTok account.
oh, you
So
should.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
absolutely. I've never been on TikTok.
No.
Yeah.
Hey, where
So
did David go? He was logging on a minute ago.
I don't know. Yeah, he's supposed to join us at 7:30. Maybe he was just testing things out or something. I don't know.
It hit the
Hopefully there's not
button
going to
too
be any
soon.
technical difficulties. Yeah,
Yeah.
so
So what's going on in your world?
well, with just more building on the ADU. Spent a lot of time in there this past weekend. Got some stuff buttoned up. They're going to be moved in. I think they'll be moved in about 2 weeks.
No shit,
Yeah.
really.
So getting down to the final little details. The flooring is getting put in on the 26th. So once the flooring goes in, then all the appliances go in, and then moving in.
Does it feel small when you're in there?
No, I mean I don't know, and
Yeah.
there's no furniture in there right now. So
Right.
yeah, and hey, they've been living in a little trailer for the last couple of years, so it's gonna feel like a mansion to them.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah, but
No,
I was going to tell you. So Saturday, right, I did my usual Saturday, the 10,000 foot Saturday, right?
yeah. So
Um,
our next sponsor is going to be BetterHelp, so that you can do some counseling. I saw that thing. Okay,
all right.
I
So
digress.
I go hard on Saturday. Just I really hurt myself on Saturday. And so 3 out laps, and then so Sunday. Usually I would take Sunday off. But then I feel guilty because I end up taking Monday off because we have the podcast. I usually ride in the morning. So then it ends up being Sunday and Monday off. So if I can go on Sunday, then I'm going to go on Sunday. So anyway, I woke up, I like, okay, I'm going to do it. So I get out there and I'm just thinking, I'm going to do a chill out lap.
Okay.
So I get, and I did the fire and ice. So it's like a longer intro into it. And then I start the Alp lap and I see this huge bunch of people like in these dark blue kits. It was like some huge group ride. And I was like, oh, cool. I'm like, let me go hang with these
We
guys.
crashed this party. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So I started going and I'm going like, 4 watts per kilo, uh, which is a lot for me. And I finally attach on to these guys. It's the We Do group.
Oh,
There
no
must have
shit.
been, yeah, there must have been like 30 We Do people all riding
Wow.
kits and stuff. And so yeah, so I felt obligated to ride with those guys and they were going. And so I ended up putting in a big effort yesterday too. Just one lap, but it was
Yeah.
like in the 50, 55 range, which
So
is
when you look at the names on the side, anyone notable? Like,
nope,
yeah.
didn't recognize any of them.
Okay.
So but they were riding good. So yeah, you never know when inspiration, how, where, when it's going to hit you, And
Yeah.
I was
That's a lot.
sore. Yeah, I was sore going into the ride, thinking
Uh,
I'm just going to chill.
that's a lot of vert for a weekend.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. How about you? Did you
Yeah.
get out this weekend?
Uh, no, because of the weather. So I did both days. I did. I'm doing those. I'm doing the workouts. I'm doing an FTP builder.
Oh,
So
okay.
I did the workout, tacked on an extra hour on Saturday, and then same thing on Sunday. Did a workout. Then I did an extra hour up out, and that hurt.
Yeah.
I thought, oh great, I'm warmed up. No, I was worn out
Yeah,
from the
right.
workout. So but yeah, it's I mean these workouts are killer.
Yeah.
So and
I did a
I
yeah.
started out feeling really good, and then it's just like part way up, I'm like, no. So
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. Well, yeah, I know
so
those
you started to
workouts
say
are
something, you
brutal.
started to do what?
I was just going to ask you about the classics. I mean, we're heading right into classic season, so I'm
Yeah,
pretty excited to
I,
get that
I
rolling.
saw that. When's the first big one? Because they were it was on Velo News or something. They said
Yeah.
that it's coming up.
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly. I think it might be next weekend is the first weekend.
All right,
Uh,
so then we got to find out where to watch it now that there's no GCN, right?
yeah, I think I mean, I just usually watch those YouTube uh clips. You can usually get like a 30 or
30
40
minute
40 minute kind of
recap.
breakdown. Yeah. But
Yeah, well, yeah, I'm cool with that too, except for, you know, right now currently unemployed, it's I can have it on and watch the whole thing and go about doing my job search and everything, so I can watch the whole thing.
hmm
So I
yeah,
mean,
looks like they start next week, February 24th.
what's the first one?
The Umloop hit
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Newsblad. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah,
Well,
so that'll be fun.
I did watch some of the cyclocross. So they've had that you mentioned the championship. So they've had some pretty shitty weather over there. So it should make for some interesting spring classics.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. Nice.
So
Um,
oh,
all right. Well, yeah, David
but yeah, no,
should be
I
joining
don't know
us here
where to.
soon.
I'm gonna have to look up where to. Or listeners, somebody tell us where to find them because I'm pissing away all that money on Peacock and Flow bikes and I had GCN, but with GCN gone,
Yeah,
which was a travesty.
it is. Yeah, if
Yeah,
anybody knows how to access the classics, stream the classics, let us know out there.
yeah.
Yeah,
So
it's been a pretty fun morning. I've been deep diving the David Lieb catalog
the,
of
you know,
clips. Man, this guy puts out a lot of content and
yeah,
high
yeah,
quality content, like crazy.
yeah. Well, let's not
Yeah,
talk about his riding. I want to find out about his van.
yeah.
I got to get me one of those.
He's had a bunch of them over the years.
Yeah.
Yeah, one of my colleagues, he just got a Sprinter for work, and
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. He seems to think it's a good idea. He's going to sleep in it. He's not going to have hotels anymore. And then I told him, I go, the company doesn't pay. The company reimburses you for hotels. He's like, yeah, but I'm just going to go low down off the grid. I'm just like, okay, dude,
Yeah, he's
sleeping in a van.
rationalizing. This is how he rationalized the expense to his wife.
Yeah,
You know,
right.
that's all it is. That's how he explained it. I'm not saying they're not a good idea. I'd love to have one
Oh, me
and do
too.
the whole, go to a cycling event and just sleep in it.
Yeah,
But that explanation, no one wants a smelly rep in their bike shop if you don't have a
seriously.
shower in it. Yeah.
That's right. I had a guy that was working at a shop, and he was living in a Sprinter, and he had a Fitness 19 membership, and he would just go to the gym every morning, and then go hit the shower, and then
Yeah.
go into work.
Yeah.
And like you couldn't really tell,
Yeah.
guy was
I
living in the
listen,
van, but
well, two things. First of all, I don't know if the regulations have changed, right?
yeah,
But I had a friend that uh, had one of those, and he was going to get a Sprinter van. And as he was kind of designing it, then it's like whatever, $100,000 for the thing, and then a 5-year car loan, right?
yeah.
And the person building it said, if you put water in there, it turns it into a mobile home and you can get like 15-year financing on the thing. So he threw a water in there, right?
Hmm.
Okay. Anyways, that's one thing. But story two is I have a friend that has a van and he's got this tricked out Jeep and he's got actually has a shower in his. Then he
Yeah.
says it works out great. Says it works out fantastic. I don't know if it's actually an indoor shower or it's one of those things you do it outside, but he just showers in the thing. He says great. But maybe David will have an opinion on that.
Yeah, but some people think camping's great too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Bike
Yeah.
packing, sleeping on a slab of
Yeah.
rock or something, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. I like the fitness 19 thing. That would work. But
Yeah. Yeah, you could see it.
so
And now with
yeah.
I mean, shit, they're letting homeless people sleep outside of Walmart and stuff. You could pretty much park your van anywhere, I think, and not get
Or
hassled.
anywhere.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So, hey, is David with us? I
I
see
don't
his
know.
I see his name. It looks like he's popped up there. Okay, well,
Maybe he's out at some mountain bike place and the internet connection is not great.
yeah. Okay, let me check in with him to see. Oh, he's connected to audio right now. Okay. All right. This is good podcast stuff right here.
Our listeners are on the edge of their seats right now,
That's right.
or
Yeah.
they will be on Thursday.
So are you still in retirement?
Yeah. So we got to talk about that though, because I do officially start subbing again 1st of March.
Okay.
So we got scheduling issues.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. Hey,
So
David.
I
Oh,
think I'm
okay.
ready to go sooner, but I lined up the guests. We got the lawyer, and then we've got after that we've got the senior games people. So
All right,
so
everybody. We're
David,
joined
just so
now.
that oh,
Oh, go.
go ahead,
Here we go,
Mike. Go ahead,
David.
Mike.
You're just screwing it up
Oh,
again.
there I go.
All right. We're joined now by David Lee, who is a avid van lifer. Although I mean, I don't know. He's also a professional mountain biker. I would maybe reverse the two of those, but yeah, van life is pretty rad. And I know Dave's more excited about your van life than the bike riding, but I digress. Anyway, David, welcome to the podcast.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Mike. Really stoked every time I get the chance to go on a podcast. I love it. Just love having conversations with people. So yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah.
That really is a fancy van. It fits that big chair, and you got a fire in the back. That's really cool. I got to get a look inside that van.
Yeah, for sure.
Where
It's like a magic
where
van. There's just endless space in it. Not
where?
really. So actually I hopped on a plane and I flew home to Michigan for a few days. Just
Okay.
kind of taking a short break from van life, kind of go home, quick reset, and then visit the family, then back out to Utah, where I'll be living it up in the van some more.
Oh
Yeah.
man,
Yeah.
where in Michigan?
I'm from southeastern Michigan, so it's I don't know if you've ever heard of Dundee or Ida, Michigan. It's like in the southeast corner,
Wow,
just above Toledo, Ohio.
they
Okay.
have mountains there.
No, it's completely flat. So, yeah, it's pretty interesting how I became a mountain bike rider in the flatlands of Michigan, but it really has a lot to do with it has a lot to do with a BMX background, a pretty good motocross scene, and then just a really awesome bike shop who employed me for a while. I was a mechanic for a few years, and then yeah, that was kind of my access into mountain biking because the owner of the shop was a professional downhill racer back in the day. So
Mhm.
he kind of guided me in the right direction. I was able to buy some bikes at a discount and really just kind of learn the ropes from him.
Yeah, and so professional downhiller in the flats of Michigan also. So I
I
mean, it's
bet you
like,
I'd even be good at that. I'd be
what the
good in
heck?
Michigan.
Yeah, you two end
And I'm
up
a terrible descender. I'm a
yeah.
shitty descender, and I'll
Oh,
bet you
he
I'd be
is.
good.
Dave, you have no idea. He is terrible. Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Oh man, we
Yeah,
got to work on that.
yeah.
So
I,
we always like to find out, like, when did it start for you? It sounds like BMX was kind of like your gateway into bike riding. And I think all of us at one point we get a BMX bike, and for some it's like really meaningful and like this big thing that becomes all encompassing. And then for most, it's just kind of like a way to get to school and back, and maybe break my arm in the summer. So
David, if you get just so that you know, if you get Mike going on BMX, we could be here till about noon.
all
So,
right. He knows. He stayed at our
That
house one
sound,
time. We told
oh,
stories.
okay,
Yeah.
all right,
oh yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
sounds good. I mean, I got all day. We can get going on BMX or whatever, you know.
It is
Talk
a
about
holiday.
vans, talk about bikes, talk about
Yeah.
that's right.
coffee. I don't care. I'm here for it. But yeah, so BMX was definitely my gateway. Actually, I would say BMX and a combination of motocross. There's a really good motocross scene in Michigan, just with the Red Bud Pro National, and there's a bunch of local tracks. There's probably like more motocross tracks than I don't like. There's like 6 tracks within 15 minutes. It's insane. So
Oh
if you're into
wow.
motocross, not a bad spot to be. But with that said, my parents were not super stoked on the idea of me racing motocross. And I think that goes back to the first ever motocross race that we attended to watch when I was a kid, because my parents don't have really an action sports background at all. So we went to our local county fairgrounds where they had a little motocross race going on, and it was not AMA sanctioned. It was super sketchy, and our neighbor got in a super bad crash, and it was just kind of a reckless situation.
Wow.
But from that moment on, my mom was like, "You're not racing motocross." So I always rode motocross, but I never raced. That was the thing. But I had this desire to be competitive. So for some reason, she let BMX freestyle slip through the cracks, and yeah, I started competing when I was like 14, and yeah, it just kind of escalated from there. By the time I was 16, I won the Recon Tour, which was kind of a high level amateur competition, and that propelled me into a BMX career while I was still in high school. So that was pretty cool. And then, that was really all just the building blocks for my mountain bike career, I like to think. And after high school, I started working at a bike shop. And that was where I said, like, that gave me the access to mountain bikes. I bought a van in 2017 and I started traveling. And I think 2018 is when I met you, Mike. And that's when
Yeah.
I pulled up in your driveway in Northern California. And yeah, that was just the beginning.
All right,
Yeah.
let's explore this a little bit. I know what is your connection? Is it Will, or like how did or did you just pull up and see that there's bikes in the garage and decide to park there?
The red light was
Yeah,
on the
so
porch, Dave.
yeah, the light was on. I was like, this looks like a good driveway to go
Yeah,
loiter in.
Yeah.
I better get there before they build the ADU so they still have room for me. So go
Yeah.
ahead.
Yeah, for
Inside
sure.
inside joke, David. Sorry.
It's okay. Yeah, so I was at that time I was traveling. My friend Avery was in the van with me, and we were hitting Sea Otter and just a little California tour. And Avery was friends with Will, and then that was kind of the connection for us to have a spot to park and camp out. And that happened to be at Mike's house. So yeah, just super thankful for that opportunity. And van life really introduces you to a lot of awesome people just because you're a little bit vulnerable. Like you don't necessarily always have a good plan when you're living in a van. And then luckily, just within the bike community, somebody seems like they're always willing to take you in. And that happened to be Mike. So stayed for a few
Yeah.
days and then we were on our way.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's never invited me to stay. Geez.
I've seen your downhilling, Dave. You know.
Yeah, that's why he doesn't make the grade.
Yeah,
So
it's
when you
been,
were here,
I'm
when you were
sorry.
here, did you ride some of the local trails? Did they take you out?
Yeah, Will definitely showed us. I don't have a clue what they were called, or I don't really remember too much now, but I remember, yeah, Will took us out on a few trails and it was nothing but good times.
Yeah. Yeah, it's fun. Will, between myself and Will both being so active in the bike world, we have from time to time we get folks like David to stay at the house, and it's always like a highlight of our week or month, sometimes a year, it depends on how many we get each year. But yeah, it's always fun having meeting new people. And yeah, I didn't know David before he stayed with us, but yeah, we
That's awesome.
quickly
Yeah,
connected and
it's a
yeah, had
good
a
part
good
of the
time.
community. It's a good part
Yeah.
of the cycling community that there's people like you out there. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So let's back up just a bit. So you're working in this bike shop, right? And you buy a van. And this is so you're sort of getting into mountain biking at this point, right? And then how do you sell your unfortunately, my father gave me this advice, is like, just go do something you love, right? And I'm like, yeah, right, Dad. You had a corporate job all your life, so you don't really mean it, you know. And I never followed a dream until much later in my life. But how do you sell your parents on the fact that, Mom, Dad, I'm getting in a van and I'm gonna be gone, and you know, and I love you, but I may not be able to write. So, so how do you sell that idea?
Yeah, so that's a really good question. Well, I'll take it back a little bit. So at the end of my BMX career, my mom was very supportive. My mom and dad, they're both very supportive of my BMX career to the point where like because I was under 18, I went to Estonia, I went all over the country, like I was traveling like crazy. And because I wasn't 18, my mom traveled with me to
Oh,
those events while I was underage. So she had a pretty good idea that the bike community was made up of mostly good people. So that was pretty cool. Then
mhm.
fast forward, as I started working at the bike shop, I like that was my access to mountain bikes. I was a little bit older, a little bit more mature. I had a lot of experience traveling already from my BMX career. The thing is with mountain biking, I had no intention of having a career at first. I was basically just doing it because it was like, okay, there's no more pressure from BMX. I'm just riding mountain bikes because I love it. It's something new to me. And it was like just the most stress-free thing that I could do on a bicycle. It was awesome. Like just new experiences. I just can't say enough good things about it. But the point wasn't to be a pro. It wasn't to make money. It was just something new that I loved. Fast forward so I started racing downhill in 2016, which is a little bit different than what a lot of slopestyle riders do.
Mhm.
But yeah, I started racing downhill. I actually did some cross country races too. I raced the Iceman Challenge in Michigan, which is kind of a gnarly point to point
Yeah.
winter um spandex wearing event. But yeah, it was
You wound
yeah, just
me.
did a lot of things. And then by the time that I decided that maybe I want to do this for a career, I had tried my first slopestyle competition, which was a really good mixture of downhill racing, or it was like if you took my skills that I learned from downhill racing, going fast, hitting big jumps, doing gnarly things, and if you pair that with the tricks from BMX freestyle, then you kind of have this perfect mixture that can make for a really good slopestyle rider. So that was just awesome. And with the support of my parents, I was able to buy a van. And then they were kind of just like, well, we're going to support you in whatever you do. So yeah, just do it with passion and enjoy it.
Man, team mom
Wow.
and dad.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Thumbs up.
That's
Woo.
awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Couldn't have done it without them. That's for sure.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's
So,
that's so great. I mean, I've always told my kids, it's like, it's important to, obviously make money and find your way in the world, but just do something you care about. That's the thing that's going to lead to ultimate happiness in life. And don't get strapped to a desk, like to Dave's point, some corporate desk job. I mean, there are some people that love that stuff, but there's also people that are stuck in those positions too, and
yeah.
want to be off in Utah riding their mountain bike, but are strapped to that desk 14 hours a day or whatever.
Yeah,
So yeah,
I,
but
for sure.
that's
I
awesome.
do. I want to get onto the slope side, but I do want to. You touched on something. It's interesting to me. So you're racing now. BMX. You were racing and doing freestyle, or and
So
then go ahead.
sorry.
Well,
Yeah,
then
so
my next question is: you said you got like there was no pressure. So are you like? I mean, this pressure because you're in these competitions, and it's does it stop becoming fun because you're out there and it's just like you got to win, you got to win, you got to win, and it takes the thrill out of it.
yeah, so to touch on the pressure point, I think the pressure that I felt in BMX freestyle was all self-inflicted. Like parents didn't put any pressure on me. It was just
Yeah.
like I wanted to do the best that I could. So I was like when I would go to a competition, I was like, I don't know, I wanted to do good. If that's the point of competing, in my opinion, is to
Yeah.
do your best work, and feel good about it. Um, that also comes with a price of you have expectations for yourself as far as performance, and then you have to train a certain amount to meet those expectations. So, and then with BMX freestyle, there's a lot of interesting um like factors in the competition world. Like specifically at that time, I don't want to bash BMX, but it's like there was some political factors in BMX and um just like a lot of drama, I would say. And then by the time that I had mentally moved on and found mountain biking, didn't have any competition in mountain biking. I was just riding for the love of it, which
Right.
really
Right.
it brought me back to a place where I was just like riding for fun, kind of felt like a little kid on a BMX bike again before I ever discovered competition.
Yeah.
What
Well,
was the first question you asked? I think they,
Was it freestyle and yeah, I was you freestyle and then is that what that was your main thing, or were you actually doing the racing? I mean, were you doing I guess was it tricks? What
yeah,
what's
so BMX freestyle for me was 100% freestyle. It was like skate parks, dirt jumps.
yeah,
Um, yeah, 100% freestyle. I had no racing background at all, other than my childhood desire to race motocross, which never
right.
panned out.
Was never
So
back to good
that kind of
parents.
led me, yeah, for sure. I'm actually thankful for the way it all turned out though. Like I think there
Yeah.
was some wisdom involved in my mom and dad's decision to not encourage me to race motocross.
Yeah.
And that, like, I mean, if I had raced motocross, things might have played out completely differently. I might have got hurt. I might have just like never amounted to anything as far as like chasing these dreams and taking them as far as I have.
yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Well,
so yeah, so,
I
oh,
was going to
sorry, go
say,
ahead.
I'm sorry to interject, but I was going to say, as a young person competing and wanting to do your best in these events, while there is pressure, I mean, I think that's probably benefited you greatly in later in life, right? So most kids in high school don't experience that kind of pressure. Although maybe you could say like obviously on the football team or high level competition is available in high school, but you know to kind of disengage from all that as a young person, that's a lot to take in. There's a lot of dynamics. Like you said, there's politics.
Hmm.
BMX has got its own energy about it that, there's some unsavory elements to it. there's a lot of great people in it, but there's also, the, drugs and whatever else in certain sectors. So it's kind of a lot as a young person to kind of navigate all that and then also achieve like high level success in competition. So, pressure makes diamonds, as they say. So, but then checking out of it
Ooh,
altogether.
whoa,
And
whoa,
it,
whoa. Let me write that down. Hold on. Pressure makes diamonds.
all right,
Okay.
Dave.
That's a good
Yeah.
one.
Okay.
Woo!
I got a million of them. All right. So, but then you fast forward, you check out of that altogether, get back to what it's all about, and that's having fun on the bike. Uh,
Right.
but but then it progresses back into this competition world, but probably a lot more equipped, right? You mature as you get older, and certainly I think you're very mature with all the travel that you've done at such a young age. That forces you to be mature. You have to, deal with a lot of elements that most kids aren't dealing with. And then now when you approach competition, do you find yourself still experiencing that same level of anxiety or pressure, or is it more like, hey man, this is what I do, this is what I love, I'm here to have fun and kill it?
Yeah. So I think it's really I think even this year I've been having a harder time wrapping my head around all of the different elements, all the different headspaces. There's so many different things that can play into successful competition and competition that feels less successful.
Hmm.
I've had years where I was feeling motivated, I was feeling like prepared, and things went right. There's a lot of factors. Then
Hmm.
there's been other years, for example, 2022. Yeah, it was the end of 2022. I was feeling good all year. Everything was going right. Like I felt like things were finally starting to play out like how I wanted. And then I tore my ACL in Australia. And that I feel like was a major turning point in me assessing risk versus reward and kind of figuring out where I want to go from here because I didn't like that changed my life. Like it completely changed my perspective on so many things. I
Yep.
think I grew up more from that one injury than I did through 6 or 7 years of traveling the world. Like that one injury changed me for sure and just opened my eyes to really just an in-depth analysis of risk versus reward.
Yep. I can relate. I've torn my ACL, and that's a gnarly one to come back from. I'm sure, I don't have to tell you, but the rehab,
Yeah.
to get it back to 100, like I don't feel like I ever got it back to 100. I don't know. How about you? Do you feel like you got there?
Yeah, so I actually didn't get surgery yet.
Oh, wow.
I there was a really complicated timeline of how the injury played out. And there was all kinds of factors. I'll quickly go through it. It was basically I turned 26 and lost my insurance coverage 2 weeks after it happened.
Oh,
And
wow.
I was also in Australia when it happened. And then I got home and I saw 5 different doctors who told me at this point I was like paying out of pocket. I saw 5 different doctors who told me my knee was fine and I
Mhm.
basically couldn't get an MRI, but I was able to get into physical therapy. And then I eventually was able to get an MRI, but I didn't get my results till my last day of physical therapy. And at that point, I was doing pretty well. Like I was able to do everything required of me in physical therapy. I was mobile again. I still
Mhm.
had a lot of challenges and a long way to go, but then I started meeting with surgeons and I met with a variety of surgeons and finally I got to meet with a surgeon that made me feel really comfortable and confident about where I was at. And he advised me to just be patient and wait, like don't rush into the surgery. And the
Yep.
reason for that is that I was already doing so well. He said like you can technically live without it if you're diligent about your training,
Hmm.
which I have been. And it's been really eye-opening just to like how much training can help you. So I don't know if you're familiar with the knees over toes guy
Oh, yeah.
program.
Yep.
That stuff is insane. Like I've been doing it without an ACL for a year, probably over a year now. Yeah, over a year now. And I feel like I'm at 95%. which is pretty insane without an ACL.
Yeah. Wow.
Wow.
You know, when I went through so I've torn my ACL twice, and when I went through the first surgery, I got to physical therapy, and the woman who was my therapist at the time, she was a little nutso, I will say. She's really into Scientology. No offense, all our Scientology listeners, but she was really into it. But
There goes our sponsorship, Church of
yeah,
Scientology. There it goes.
she also was she wished that I had come in there before I had my surgery because
Mm,
she believes that most people that get ACL surgery don't need it, and that a lot of people that are not quote unquote in shape or athletes can recover and do we're used to working out anyway, so you can do workouts that would strengthen all the muscles and everything around the knee, and you don't have to go have this invasive surgery. Of course, that was after the fact, and then I tore
yeah.
it again, and that was still in my head. But the second time I tore it, I also had a bunch of meniscus and some other stuff that was bad in the knee, and yeah, I had a great surgeon the second time around. It went good, and my knee is way better than it was after the first surgery consequence. But still, like the idea on a mountain bike, I know because I used to do nothing like at your level, Dave, but I would do 360s, that was something I could pull. And occasionally, you over rotate or whatever, something happens and you have to you can run out and save it. And I lost the confidence in being able to run out of a jump gone wrong, and because I
Yeah,
just didn't feel.
that's I totally agree with that.
Yeah, I just don't feel like I just feel like that's where it's going to go if it's going to go. So,
Mhm.
so that kind of sidelined me on all that, which is probably good because I was in my, I don't know, like late 40s still doing this stuff, that these
That's
young guys
awesome.
are doing, but yeah. So, and now I don't really mountain bike much because I don't know. It's like I can't see. I got these big glasses and I don't hear so well. And, I got a bum
You
knee,
got you
so.
kind of backed down, Mike, after your last. You had a pretty bad crash on Del Val with Will, right? And because I
Yeah,
remember talking to you afterwards, and you kind of go like, "It's just not for me anymore."
yeah.
Because
The hard part is
you,
as you get older, Dave, you'll see, like things don't work the same. Like your hand-eye coordination. Like I bet when you crash, you know exactly what went wrong. Is that accurate?
Yeah, I would say so. I guess to a certain extent. Like there's just so many factors. Like when I actually tore my ACL, I didn't crash, which was super interesting. I got
Mhm.
wind blown on a jump and I was like flying a little crooked from the wind, like huge wind gust hit me. And then I
Yep.
just stuck my leg out to catch myself and I did catch myself. So I mean, I know that the wind, I'm blaming the wind fully for that one, but actually
Yep.
I can blame myself for riding in a situation where I should have known that there was going to be wind. It was a bit of a ridiculous situation, but yeah, like you
We've all
said,
been there.
the
Yeah.
more, yeah, the more you like, the biggest risk is running out of a fall. Like, I don't like to mess around with anything that is gonna potentially cause that now. And that's
Yeah.
where I just try to balance risk versus reward. Like, if I feel like this risk is going to have a reward, whether it's self-gratification, just feeling good, like I'll consider it. But I'm also just not gonna do something that is high risk with no reward. That's the
Yeah.
biggest thing for me. So
Yeah.
yeah.
I want to dive into that a little bit, but more because I'm very curious because this is one of the things I was going to ask you when I was looking over all your Instagram and Facebook. I'm like, holy shit! Like, where is that? I'm very curious, but but I am also very linear, and I think we fast forwarded through something, so I'm going to rewind. You're working in a bike shop. The place is pan flat. This guy's into mountain biking. I mean, is that you bought? How did you that evolution from into mountain biking? You had to get the van to go someplace to mountain bike, or this guy was leading you to the owner was leading you to competitions. I'm just trying to see where that passion for the mountain bike came from. And I know we're backtracking a little bit, but I'm still, like I don't know that I don't know that like I wouldn't be taking up skiing if I lived in an area that was pan flat, right? So I don't think so. A little
Yeah,
bit on that.
no, that's a really good question. So it's kind of I guess it's a different story than the average mountain bike rider coming from the flatlands, but we have a decent cross country scene here. Like
Okay.
there's some mountain bike trails that are actually pretty fun if you're on a short travel cross country bike or a hardtail. Like you can get pretty rowdy on these trails if you are willing to pedal to get yourself up to speed. So that was kind of what we do for fun here is we go pedal a 10-mile loop and do a couple laps of it, and it can be pretty fun. So
Okay.
the people who haven't experienced that, like I'm sure that I could take any mountain bike rider out on my local trails that are an hour away and show them a good time if you have the right bike for the job.
All right. There you
Um,
go.
Aside from that, there's also the story of like how I got introduced into van life, and I got to give credit to Dakota Norton on that one. I'm sure you guys are familiar with Dakota Norton,
Mm-hmm.
Downhill racer. So I grew up around him. As far as like BMX goes, we shared a sponsor. The sponsor, it was called Vert Village. It was kind of like an indoor training facility, bike park thing. And as I saw him make the transition from BMX to mountain biking, he also encouraged me to make the transition to mountain biking at one point. He saw that I had a dirt jumper and he's like, David, you got to start riding downhill. And at that time, he was van lifing it pretty hard. Like he had an old Sprinter and he was going to every single downhill race possible. So it was 2016 and he loaded me up and took me to the Mountain Creek Pro GRT in his van. So then I was just like, all right, like this van thing seems pretty cool. Like maybe I should get my own van so I can start traveling to mountain bike events. He's actually also from Michigan, so that's kind of the
Okay.
link there. So
Okay.
yeah, Dakota's from Michigan, I'm from Michigan. He had a van going to mountain bike events and I looked up to him, so I thought that just made sense for me to do. And then that was really just my access to getting out of Michigan into the mountain biking destinations.
Yeah.
Got it. Got it.
So how many months
Woo.
a year are you on the road in the van?
Oh man, there's been a wide variety of answers to that question over the years.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't, so going back to the beginning, the structure was pretty much work at the bike shop all winter, save up as much money as possible. Working at the bike shop looked like I was doing a lot of mechanics, a little bit of sales, kind of just covering all the bases, but mostly I was the mechanic.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I would just build bikes all winter, do whatever mechanic work was available in the winter, grind it out all through the spring, save up as much money as possible. Usually I would save up like 6 to 10 grand and have that in my bank account by the time like April and May came around. And
Mm-hmm.
then 2017, 2018, 2019, I did that. Like I would just save up money, go van life it all summer and hit every event possible, do everything I could, end up completely flat broke, no money left, just enough to make it home and go back to the bike shop and beg for my job back. And they always took me back. So I
Well,
did
let's.
that until 2019 when I was able to secure a few contracts that were able to keep me afloat.
Oh, nice.
Okay. So that's how you're making it. You got this, you got the contracts, the sponsorships, and that's how you okay.
Let's
Yeah.
That's cool.
let's do this though, David. It sounds like the guy that owns the bike shop had a big impact, right? He was a downhill racer and he
Mhm.
continued to give you your job back even after you ditched him for the summer, the busiest
Yeah,
time of year. Yeah,
busy
so
season was coming and I dipped out.
yeah, can we give him a shout out? Is that cool?
Yeah, for sure. It's
Yeah.
the bike shop is called Spoke Life Cycles and they have 4 locations across northwestern Ohio. And the owners are Brian Schroyer and Rob Golden. So those guys are awesome and they've always taken care of me and they still do.
That's great.
That's awesome.
I love that.
Shout out to those guys. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So
Yeah,
before we get into
I worked in a after I owned my bike shop, and I love the guy, but I worked in a bike shop, and he after I closed mine, and I couldn't even get Saturdays off to go on my group ride. So, so kudos for them for giving you the summer off.
all right,
So,
but before
Yeah,
we get into more bikes, let me ask you this because we're talking about Ohio and Michigan, right? So, I mean, do you follow college sports? Obviously, there's this humongous rivalry between Ohio State and Michigan. Where do you care? And if you do, where is your heart?
You know, I think so. Everyone around me is so invested in this rivalry.
Yes,
And to be honest, I could not possibly be more detached from it. Like
that's awesome.
I think it's awesome that people are invested in it and it gives them something to talk some smack about and keeps them fired up. So yeah, I'm all for it. But yeah, I'm pretty disconnected. I think if I had to pick, I'm just gonna go with Michigan because I'm that's where I grew up. So
Yeah, right. I
go
get
blue.
it. Yeah, go blue. Half-hearted, go blue.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. Okay. All right. So Dave and I have been spending a lot of time on all your content, man. You produce a lot of content. So do you actually do that yourself or do you have somebody? Now I notice hang on, before I get into that, I notice there's a girl that accompanies you sometimes on these trips. What's going on there?
Yeah. Yeah. So
Oh,
yeah, I have a girlfriend. Her name is Cheyenne.
Uh-huh.
Um, her name's Cheyenne Norton. So actually, she's Dakota Norton's sister.
Oh,
Um, so yeah,
oh, are
that's been
you and
fun.
Dakota still friends?
Yeah, yeah,
Oh, okay.
yeah.
All right.
Well, that probably makes
for
things a lot
sure.
easier, right? She understands. You don't have to explain your lifestyle or your need to ride the bike. She grew up with that, right? She knows.
Right.
So that
Yeah,
right
that's
there,
honestly
does she
that's
ride
a
herself?
massive thing. Yeah, she rides. She got into it about 2 or 3 years ago.
Okay.
She definitely understands the whole like being an athlete thing just from watching Dakota grow as an athlete. And
Yeah.
yeah, it's pretty cool. She's awesome. So she's super
Yeah.
supportive.
Okay.
Um,
So now that's good to hear. So yeah,
Well,
if it wasn't for
but
my
interesting.
woman,
Is she? Yeah. Is she on the road with you all the time, or she just pop in? And I mean, I was just trying to figure out. Mike's building an ADU in his backyard. I'm thinking, is there room enough for two? Is there room enough for two in a van for long periods of time?
she's been pretty like part-time as far as traveling goes. Just like a lot of the time it doesn't make sense because she's like working on her own thing and if she's with me then it kind of takes away from her like self-growth but we
Yeah.
make it work and she just got a job in Utah. She worked in Utah 2 years ago and she just got another job in Utah, so she's going back out there and we're going to be kind of in the same area, so that'll be cool. And
that's good.
yeah, we'll be in the same area working on different things, like working on each of our own projects, but then connecting at the end of the day.
What does
Yeah.
she do?
So she works at a place, her new job, which is what she did 2 years ago. She's working at this place called Under Canvas. It's like a glamping facility it's near Zion. It's like
Oh, okay.
people come and stay in this big glamorous like canvas tent and it's just kind of an outdoor experience and she helps facilitate that whole thing.
Yeah, cool. All right,
Pretty cool.
let's get back to your content. So there's a lot of it. And do you yeah, I know a lot of it's film, like there's definitely first person filming happening. So you're doing a lot of filming yourself, but there's also someone else filming you from time to time. And then beyond the filming, there's the editing of it all and getting it all that mashed together with some cool music and to make it look good for Instagram. Who's doing all that?
Yeah, so I love that question. That's been a very big focus of mine the last few years is content production. I think you can formulate a career off competition, but
Mhm.
then to stay relevant and to stay, I guess, productive, you have to develop a skill for content creation, especially in this social media culture.
Yeah.
So about 3, maybe 4 years ago, I got a camera, and the sole purpose of me getting a camera was so that I could provide my sponsors higher quality, like higher quality content and product photos. Like when I'd get a new set of wheels from Industry 9, and I want to like showcase on my social media like just how beautiful those wheels are. Like I have sponsors that I absolutely love their product, which I'm super thankful for.
Yeah.
So, and I like documenting it on my social media in an artistic way. So, camera just made sense to start doing higher quality content rather than always relying on being nearby to some other photographer who's willing to give you photos for free. That's just sometimes not always accessible. So I got the camera for the sake of product photography, and then I just dove head over heels into YouTube University, learning how to use it. So you can learn how to do anything on YouTube, honestly. And
Yeah.
I'd say I'm about 3 to 4 years into um, like I feel like I treat it like a college course. I go on YouTube, I watch the how-to videos for hours, just learning everything I can from the experts on there. And then I take it out in the field and I apply the new skills and concepts I've learned and kind of make the skills set in. Um, but yeah, started with photos, and then once you kind of like figure out how to shoot like high quality photos, then you can start applying that same skill set to video. Video is a whole nother beast. Like you have to understand the way the camera works and lighting, and that's something I'm still working on. But yeah, just it turns out it's really fun, and I enjoy I enjoy shooting, I enjoy producing content, and then that brings me into the video editing. So video editing is just yet another skill set in this whole category. And I just one day bought Final Cut Pro and started learning how to use it on YouTube. And then last year, I really made an effort to start like working on my YouTube channel. And it's still a huge work in progress, but at the events, last year, I went to Crankworks Cairns, Australia. I went to Innsbruck, and then Whistler. And I was able to hire a personal filmer to kind of just film me the whole weekend and then just dump me all their footage. And then I would edit it myself. That
Wow.
way I could kind of craft my own vision for the video and do my own storytelling rather than relying on someone else. And then it also made it a bit more affordable to just pay for the filming and not pay for the editing.
Yeah.
So
Well,
there's a bit of irony here, David. Before you got on, I was bitching and moaning because I was frustrated posting stuff on my Instagram and and Cycle Jerk's Instagram and Cycle Jerk's Facebook and my Facebook, and all this was a stupid post of a JPEG. So I'm
Yeah.
a little embarrassed about my trials and tribulations when I hear your story
but
about film editing.
That's
David,
okay.
Dave is 63, so it's good that
Yeah.
he can even access the internet his
It's
advanced
good.
age.
It's good that I even have an Instagram account, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. You're
Yeah.
doing great, Dave. Keep up the good work.
Keep it up, buddy. Well,
Let me
Shit.
let me
I
know if you
was
have any questions.
so
Okay.
I want to chime in here about what a good path you're on with the videos. I do feel like some of them are even like little mini movies, where it's like, the snow dripping off the bumper and the tailpipe, and then, then it expands into, you doing crazy shit on your bike. And so it's obvious that somebody's putting a lot of time and thought into the production of these things, and that's why I wanted to kind of touch on it, because as a I work for a company. I've been with Giant for a long time, and it's a way to really add value. There's definitely like, standing on a podium is cool, and that impacts a lot of people at the event. That were there, they saw the action and they're excited and they're hyped up and they realize like you're the top dog or whatever. And then those are good on social media too, but the videos tend to resonate more with people. And particularly the types of videos that you're putting out. Like there's I want to kind of get into what's the gnarliest trail. But I just watched some clip this morning of you riding behind some shredder in Virgin, Utah. And it was like it wasn't even really a trail, and yet there's jumps in there. It just looks like you're riding through this rocky cliffside craziness. So that kind of content, that first person content where you're like behind the bars or you're watching and it's like, oh my God, this is insane. Uh, that's that's pretty great. And it doesn't really require the same production value as the snow melted off the bumper, you know what I mean? But
Yeah.
yeah, so how do you divvy that up? Is it more like you have that thing rolling all the time while it's in first person, or on your, maybe is it a chesty or a mouthy, or how are you doing it?
Yeah. So, I just want to touch on the first part. Thank you for thank you for watching the videos and um appreciating that I put more work into it. That means a lot.
Right.
I really enjoy just creating um a more of an immersive video, and I'm still learning. Like I have a lot to learn, and I want to just keep getting better and better and better at it.
Yeah.
But yeah, as far as integrating the first person content into these videos and just like as far as first person content goes, I think it's amazing that we have these little cameras that can fit on your body or your helmet, your bike, whatever, that can give people like a first person look at what it's like to ride this super gnarly stuff out in Utah. And for people who might never get to go there, they can at least like kind of feel like they are experiencing it, or they can see it and be like, that's what I want to do someday. That's been a lot of my career, is just watching people do epic stuff and getting inspired and then wanting to go do it for myself. So if
Okay,
I
hang
can
on, hang
inspire,
on. Let me interrupt you right here. Okay. So
yeah, go
while it
ahead.
was inspiring to you, most people look at that and go, holy shit, look at this
This
lunatic.
this guy's fucking nuts.
Yeah,
He's fucking
exactly.
nuts.
Yeah.
He not only does he have a van, he's jumping over the van.
Oh, well, there's
Oh yeah.
that too. Yeah. Yeah. No, but
Um,
even for somebody like myself who's done, like I've done, Whistler and I've ridden a lot of really crazy mountain bike trails. Still, when I watch that Virgin footage, it's like, yeah, nope, no thanks. There's
yeah.
not any part of me that even is interested to do that. So
Yeah.
sorry to interrupt you there, but yeah,
Oh,
it's
it's okay.
it's it's wild.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I am thankful that you're recording it, because there's just levels, and it's just a way that you could just recognize somebody's just got like a whole
Yeah.
nother gear.
I know.
Yeah.
I'm Michael Teller, right? Like, well, we've talked on it. I'm such a terrible descender, and but yeah, I can't. But I'm glued when I see something like that, or I'm watching Red Bull Rampage, or I'm watching some people ride on these narrow cliffs, and it's like you just can't help but to get glued and go, how does someone do that? It's incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think the video you're referring to is the one where I was following DJ Brandt on a trail that I think he's worked on this trail a bunch. I
Yeah,
think
you can
Tyler
tell he's
McCall,
familiar with it, right? He's in all
yeah,
black. He's familiar with the trail. He's kind of showing you. And the other thing I love about it is your commentary during it, because you're like, whoo, yo, it's just like I'm
yeah,
feeling those same things that anyway, go ahead.
for sure. No, yeah, I love the POV for that reason.
Yeah.
So as far as like when I pull the POV camera out, so that my mount, I usually try to mount it underneath my visor. I think that's a really good angle,
Yeah.
because
Okay.
it gives you like the head turning, where
Yep.
the chest mount doesn't give you quite the um same POV perspective. But yeah, there's a few different ways to mount it up. But yeah, following DJ down those trails, he lives out there now, so he moved there. He's super comfortable with it. He's ridden Red Bull Rampage a few different times, and um, yeah, I think Tyler McCall also maybe helped build that trail. I don't know. A bunch of OGs like came together, and there is some insane stuff out there, like mind blowing. I go out there and that stuff's a bit out of my like comfort zone, but I love the challenge of it. And as long as I feel like I'm not gonna die entirely, like I'll usually go for it. Um, and actually a lot of that stuff, minus the trail that I like, that video you're talking about, there was one section that I just like tipped over and slid down the whole trail.
Oh yeah.
That section, I
It
just
happens
didn't
to the best of
exactly,
us.
yeah,
He butt
I
slid the
didn't know
whole
what
thing.
was at the bottom. Sorry, what was that?
Yeah, I said you butt slid the whole thing.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I
Yeah.
didn't know what was at the bottom. So like I was having commitment issues to staying upright because I didn't know how much speed I was gonna get and where it was gonna take me. So like I just like it was a challenge. I didn't complete that trail.
Yeah.
That might be the only trail that I've ever encountered that I wasn't able to ride. And going back out there, so maybe I'll go give it another go. But
You got
Yeah.
unfinished business, right?
yeah, I do have some unfinished business with that trail.
Yeah.
It's crazy out there. It's a different world. It's a different style of riding. It's just
So
so
chunky.
different that
Yeah.
yeah, it like you could it's actually like if you can commit, if you can mentally like envision yourself riding it, it usually works out.
Hmm.
But when you don't, when you can't see the vision, when you're like struggling to see how you're gonna get down that, like that's when it can get really dangerous. So,
Yeah.
um, that's when you might like miscalculate and ride off a cliff. Everything has to be calculated in your head before you like actually drop in.
Yeah. I could totally relate to what you're saying based on my background of it. But yeah, because generally the times where I've had the biggest problems was the lack of commitment. That you second
Mhm.
guess it, and then it's too by the time you second guess it, it's too late. It's over. And now you're dealing with crashing. So
Yep.
yeah, you have to fully commit. And that's someone who hasn't fully committed to anything anywhere near as gnarly as what you do. Um, so
I don't know the sport that well, but would it have made any sense to pre-ride it at a slower pace and then go
you,
back and film it?
a lot of times you can't. You can't pre-ride it at a slower pace. It has to be at the pace. If you're ahead of the pace, it's a problem, and if you're behind the pace, problem. So it has to be at the pace. Yeah. So
And
sometimes you can hurt yourself trying to be
go
safe.
too slow. Yeah.
Yeah, you end up
Yeah.
getting hurt. So
Okay.
that happened to me at Whistler one time on dirt merch at the very beginning, the first time there. And I'm all excited to ride dirt merch. And we talked to this guy on the tram going up, and the guy's, oh yeah, just follow me. He's like 3 years. He goes there all summer. So and I got Will with me, and Will was still developing his skills at the time, younger. And I said, I go, hey, I don't know about following this dude. This guy's 3 years in. It's our first time here. So Will followed him, and I thought about it. I just I brake checked the squirrel catcher at the very beginning, and yeah, ruined my leg, but basically crashed. I still was able to ride that whole week, but I had like my whole thigh. I've never seen anything like it on me anyway, but from my knee to my hip was purple from the crash that
Yeah.
I had. And it was because I was trying to be safe or, not just send
Okay.
it at the right speed. So yeah, sorry, I answered your question. Dave, you probably have a lot more context than I do.
No, you're okay. That's a pretty common story though. Like you don't know the trail super well. You kind of are hesitant, and it's like it's best to look before you leave, know what you're about to get into. Um, but yeah, sometimes you just gotta fully commit. And if you're going for something, you always have to fully commit. That's
Right.
the thing. Referring to that Utah trail specifically, we
Yeah.
were basically going as slow as the trail would allow, and you really can't go any faster or slower. Like that's the thing in Utah. It's like there's trails where you can like go faster or slower, but most of the time you're just surviving the feature and then just kind of traversing to the next feature. And it's not a race out there at all. It's just can you survive this feature? That's
Yeah.
kind of the whole name of the game.
Yeah.
Which trail was this? So I'm gonna go back. I didn't see this one. I'm gonna go back and watch this one now.
Uh
Which one was
it's
it?
it's
I'll send it to
it was
you,
maybe
Dave.
like a month ago. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll send it to you. It'd be easier if I send it to you because I can pick it real
Ah,
quick.
cool.
Yeah. So,
So,
sorry, Dave, I'm cutting you off again.
no,
So, in the spirit of that trail in Virgin, is that the gnarliest trail that you've ever ridden, or is there like, I mean, you've been all over the world riding your mountain bike, right? So, all these different terrains. Can you talk about the gnarliest conditions that you've encountered?
Yeah. So there's really, to answer your question the best, there's such a variety of terrain that my skill set can like get me through a lot of it. And like it's just different everywhere you go. That's the thing. Like you go, one of my favorite spots to ride is Santa Cruz, like UCSC. I love Santa Cruz, California so much because I feel like my skill set works really well with that riding. Like some higher speed stuff, some steep stuff, and it's just like awesome. It's just a lot of nice dirt.
Yeah.
But then you go to Utah and it's like you could take some of the best rider, you could take the best riders in the world and you could put them in Utah. And if they've never like specifically spent time in Utah riding that terrain, it's going to be super challenging for them.
Yeah.
Just completely different. So, and then so yeah, Santa Cruz is awesome,
it's
but
going to be a
very
lot,
different.
a
A
lot,
lot of,
lot of happy people to hear you say that. There's a lot of, I mean, where this is around where we live, right? And Santa Cruz is the destination. So
oh yeah,
that's awesome. How about Europe?
yeah. So in most of my time spent in Europe has been on a slope style bike, which has not really allowed for me to experience the terrain there. I'm usually on a crafted course. I ride my competition and then I leave. I actually, okay, I take that back. The only time I've been to Europe with a proper mountain bike was when I went to Norway to hang out with Braga Vestavik, and we rode some epic stuff up there. So that was also just completely different than anything you'd experience in the United States.
Yeah.
So yeah, Whistler, another incredible spot. I'd say like Santa Cruz, Whistler, Utah, and New Hampshire are my favorite spots.
Okay.
Um,
Woo,
and
New
all for very
Hampshire.
different reasons.
Yeah.
What is it about New Hampshire?
New Hampshire kind of has like this a similar vibe. Well, at least the riding has like similar vibes to Santa Cruz in a way, but like much smaller scale, kind of small town feel of Santa Cruz in a way. Like it's kind of got that dirt, like similar dirt, and yeah, just I
I'm
really
from
like.
New England, so I'm curious, like where in New Hampshire?
I've spent a lot of summers at Highland Mountain Bike Park, and in that whole like what is that, like the Laconia, the Lakes region.
Okay.
Yeah, a lot of that riding there. That's kind of where I really crafted all of my skill. I spent every summer there since 2018, 19, 2020, 21. Every year I go for like at least a month. So
Yeah.
it's an epic spot.
That's cool. Yeah.
Sweet.
It's, I find that I'm more like Santa Cruz and Whistler, like the dirt, the way that you get blue groove a lot and it's just like super fast and smooth. That's kind of more my jam than like the super chunky stuff. You can find that in Santa Cruz and in Whistler too, but
Yeah.
there's more of that fast flowy, jumpy kind of fun stuff. That's kind of where I find that I'm most happy. When you were in Whistler, have you been to Squamish?
Yeah. I
Yeah.
got to ride Squamish in 20, I think it was 2018. It's been a
Okay.
while, but yeah,
Yeah.
I was having a heyday out in Squamish. That was
Oh man.
some of the best stuff ever.
Did you ride full Nelson? Do you remember? I mean, that's kind of
I
like the one that so if you don't remember the name, it's got like a bunch of switchbacks and every switchback is a berm. And you can
okay.
literally you jump out of one berm across into another berm, and then you
Mhm.
just keep repeating that. And it was fun because I was with I think it's Alex Hickson. Anyway, he's a guy that lives there, and Will knew him somehow. And but they're a lot younger, you know, and so they're going way fast, and I'm going, but I'm, you know, trying to keep up. And when I got to the bottom of the trail, I mean, I was just like so ecstatic. Like that was the best trail, you know, experience I've ever had. And I get to
Yeah.
the bottom and I'm feeling that. And Will looks at me and goes, "That was the best freaking trail I've ever ridden." And so it was just like, you know, we had this high five moment, and it was like somebody that wasn't going as fast as somebody, you know, with a higher skill set, faster. We had the same kind of experience. And but yeah, Squamish is just, it's incredible. It's so beautiful in there, and the dirt is just all time, you know.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's what
Yeah.
I want to
I
ask.
went in 2018. I think it was 2018. Maybe it was 2017. I don't know. Either way, yeah, I got to experience Squamish, and I think that this year will be the first year that I get to go back to Squamish since then,
Oh,
because I have
nice.
a little bit more of a freed up schedule, and yeah, I'm really looking forward to that. I'll have to hit full Nelson for you.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, so David, so
Full,
you
full
compete,
skip, Go ahead. Go ahead. No,
I
go,
was
go,
just gonna
go.
say, you compete in slope style, you compete in speed and style. Do you do the pump track too? You ever done that? Pump track worlds or any of that stuff?
I did some pump tracking about 5 years ago, and I did okay at it. You know, I wasn't the fastest guy, I wasn't the slowest guy,
Yeah.
but yeah, I just that was something I feel like I did, and then I just kind of my priorities just shifted a bit. Excuse
Yeah.
me. But yeah, I think it's really cool. It's just if I'm gonna do pump track, I want to like fully focus and train to be competitive. I didn't see much value for myself in going out there and just being kind of a mid-pack guy, which is
Yeah.
exactly where I was. And yeah, it's insane how fast those guys go though, and
Yeah.
girls, like everyone's shredding.
Yeah.
They've taken
So
track really
yeah, the
far.
reason I wanted to ask is because there's a lot of different disciplines in the free ride world, right? What
Mm.
is I know you've had a lot of success in like the oh shit, slope style. No, what, speed and style.
Speed and style, yeah.
Speed and style, right? So like the US Open, I think you won that, right? And then I don't know. Anyway, I'm probably butchering the whole thing.
That's okay.
What's your favorite discipline of all the different free ride elements? Is there one that like really speaks to you?
Yeah, so I guess going back to my early days, like with BMX and then racing downhill, I think my skill set is it's pretty wide. Like it can cover a lot of different categories, which I'm super thankful for because like anywhere I go, I'm usually able to like figure out how to do reasonably well.
Mhm.
In 2019, I won the Fox US Open or Cliff Fox US Open of slopestyle, and that was at Highland Mountain Bike Park in New Hampshire. So that was kind of like where my slopestyle career accelerated into like the higher levels. And then I really focused on slopestyle over the years, which is just doing massive tricks on massive jumps and lots of air time and crazy maneuvers and upside down variations.
Yeah,
But that was kind of the focus of my entire career up until now. And, you know, I'm thankful for that. I love it. It was taking a lot of the tricks I learned from BMX, and it's just the best thing ever, really. As as I kind of achieved my goals in slopestyle, I then formed new goals. And then while I was at Crankworks competing in slopestyle, I was always a little bit like envious of the people who were doing speed and style because I thought it looked really fun. So speed and style. I also have a background in dual slalom racing. So
okay.
at the time I was racing downhill, I was also racing dual slalom. So speed and style at Crankworks is like the perfect mix of dual slalom, where you're getting that racing energy, and then you're also just like firing off your slopestyle tricks for added points. And it's kind of a wild event to watch. I think it might be one of the more entertaining ones to watch if you like actually pay attention to what's going on.
For sure.
But yeah, last year I was like fully focused on speed and style, and I was able to get two Crankworks podiums, which was kind of a dream come true. Just to,
Yeah.
I mean, spraying champagne at your buddies on the Crankworks podium is one of the best things in life. So
Yeah.
got to check that box off. And then yeah, this year my biggest focus I think is working on my YouTube channel, pulling back from competition a little bit just to focus on media projects and kind of creative outlet. But I'm still gonna hit Crankworx Whistler, and I'm signed up for Speed and Style, signed up for dual slalom, air DH, like all the fun events. I won't be doing slope style at that one, but yeah,
Okay.
just kind of gonna go and have fun with it, and you know, make a video while I'm there.
Yeah.
You
So
mentioned, and maybe I'm a year late in asking this question because you said you're going to focus on your video, but I'm curious if, like you said, my schedule allows. So like I know that I want to be sensitive to your time. I don't know how we cram a year into it, but you set up like, okay, the van is loaded, right? I'm packed up. What does a year look like? Do you have that mapped out for a year, or does someone all of a sudden say, call you on the phone and say, hey, meet me in New Hampshire, right? So I'm curious
Yeah,
as to, is
so
it just event to event or what?
for sure. So up until this year, I think this year is going to be the first year where I have more freedom to decide my own fate, you know? Like up until this year, it was my schedule was always dictated by the FMB, the Freeride Mountain Bike World Tour schedule, and the Crankworx World Tour schedule. So both of those tours would pretty much fill up my entire season with events that I knew that I wanted to be at. And after doing that for so many years, going into this year, I have this new van build that I'm really stoked on. Um, I've kind of developed my camera skills into a spot where I feel confident that I can produce videos that I'm happy with. And I am not doing the FMB tour this year just because I've accomplished all my goals. You know, like I've competed in Red Bull Joyride. After tearing my ACL, I made my return to competition at the highest level.
Mhm.
And like with all these goals completed, it just feels like the perfect time to take on a new adventure, go ride in new places, get out on the trail bike more, and kind of just worry less about going to all these countries to compete, you know? It's like there's more that I want to see. And if I can tell a story while doing it with my camera and, you know, just enjoy the ride a little bit more, that's kind of my focus this year. So that leaves me with a more open schedule to kind of craft this adventure on wherever it may end up.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I kind of got a sense of that when you were talking about some of these other countries where you kind of come in, do your thing and leave. And, you kind of miss some great opportunities, right? You're there. Just getting there is an ordeal and getting home's an
Mhm.
ordeal. So if you weren't on such a schedule, maybe you could schedule another couple weeks where you could, be in South Africa for a couple weeks or wherever you're traveling to and not be such a slave to the grind of the different tours. So
Right.
I think that's great. It's really gonna change. It's kind of similar. Dave and I had a couple guys on a couple weeks ago that they rode across the United States on road bikes, and they did it in 60 days, right? So they weren't hammering, like a race across America. They just took their
Mhm.
time and they went to these specific spots and had this really enjoyable experience. They went to Niagara Falls and all these different spots along the way that they wanted to do. And sounds like you're going to be doing your version of that with this year. And I think you're going to find it really satisfying. Those guys certainly had an amazing time, trip of a lifetime. And
Yeah.
yeah, so I'm excited for this new venture for you. With
Yeah,
the
that sounds like an awesome trip alone. Just
yeah,
a group of
I've been
friends and
I don't know about
60
Dave,
days
but
across the
yeah,
country.
I don't know about Dave, but I've been thinking about it ever since that podcast. How
Oh,
can I
Doug.
possibly do this? How
So,
can I
so
get this done?
okay.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So in answer to your question, I'm sorry, David, we're going to digress here, but
You're okay.
so I'm currently unemployed. I'm going back to substitute teaching, right? So the angst that has caused me about substitute teaching, which I feel great because I'm shaping young minds. It's scary that they allow me to do that, but um, I was like, okay, what do you do for the summer? So I'm thinking I got to go to a bike shop and beg for a job. Well, I just found out that as school ends, a substitute teacher can file for unemployment. And I'm like, oh, I'd feel much better about working, but all of a sudden I go, that gives me 3 months to ride somewhere.
Oh boy.
Really? I thought, oh my God, do I share this idea with Sue or do I keep it to myself?
Uh, yeah, I was a.
So, so Mike, just tell Carson you're taking the summer off and we'll
Oh
go.
yeah.
I got 3 months.
I don't
So
I don't think Giant would be as understanding as Dave's employer back in Michigan.
yeah.
Yeah. Taking the summer off as a bike
Yeah.
rep. Yeah. No, it's gonna have to wait till I retire, I think. But even
Okay.
then, I think it'll be pretty challenging, but it seems great. But I'm
My
looking
point is my point is, Mike, I've been thinking about it. Like I don't know that I want 60 days, but I'm like, where could I ride over the course of like X, some destination ride. So
yeah. Yeah, they
um
also, as a second act, they rode from Canada down to was it Canada? Yeah, I
yeah.
think yeah, Canada down to Mexico, through California, and yeah, it was so. Anyway, they did some epic stuff on the bike, and but the
Eh,
point of the whole thing was, hey, take your time, do what you want to do, enjoy yourself, and after the career you've had, obviously a ton of success. Now you got this opportunity to be your own boss a little bit and have a little bit more time at each location so you can experience it more. Get back to
que-
Squamish and other places,
yeah.
I'm sure.
Oh yeah.
Question for you. You mentioned a long time ago that I hope this doesn't come out wrong, but you after your ACL, you mentioned the risk versus reward, right? And I mean, your career is kind of, mandates that you do weird, like crazy shit, right?
Yeah.
So, but is it like you're moving on to this thing? You've accomplished a lot, and almost everything that you've wanted to accomplish is part of it is like the risk reward isn't there, or I'm getting older, or is it just like I've done it all, move on? What's the next big thing?
Yeah, I think for the risk versus reward concept is something that's definitely developed as I get older. I'm 27 now, and I look at things a whole lot differently than when I was 22 or 21 chasing this slopestyle dream. At that point, like I just felt kind of invincible, and I guess I was at the time, you know?
Hmm.
Yeah.
As every 21-year-old is, they're somewhat invincible. They can take a
It's the
slam.
the male brain is not fully developed until about 25. That's where that whole thing comes from. That's true story. It's
It
true
is.
story. They
It
they all,
is.
Yeah,
they think they're invincible,
yeah.
right? And so and that's why the YouTube videos of people on their BMX bike jumping off roofs and whatnot. But go ahead.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, yeah, I think about the time that I was 25, I actually did start to think about things a little bit more. I was like, huh, like maybe I can do like I started I think I started looking at things to where like I would do it in a calculated way. I would take risks in a calculated way, but I would do it in a way where like, all right, this is going to benefit my career or it's going to make me really happy. One of the two. It was less of just sending my body into the air for no reason. It
Mhm.
started to become more intentional. And I think that also can be a benefit to the career because then you start thinking like, how can I do this in a creative way that's going to, share mountain biking with the world rather than just doing reckless stuff for no reason
Okay.
or like at a
Love
competition.
it.
Just try to be
Love
more
it.
intentional. Yeah.
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 Um,
That's great perspective.
yeah, just want to represent mountain biking well, share mountain biking with the world, and preserve my body the best I can while doing it so that I can continue doing this for a long time.
Yeah. Well, you're
Love
certainly
it.
doing that now with the content that you're creating. It's really cool, entertaining, inspiring, all the things. And so I applaud you in that. And that's why I wanted to touch on it. Do you have aspirations beyond with creating these short films? I mean, do you have an idea like one day maybe you're going to create a movie or maybe even do a mountain bike film? There's been a lot of mountain bike films over the years. Is that something you're aspiring to, or you're just still like right now, I've just got my head down. I'm just honing my skills.
Yeah, definitely honing my skills at the moment, but
Mhm.
I have some ideas. I have like 300 notes on my phone where I just write down all my ideas, and probably half of those are ideas for things I want to film and edit and produce, and just like visions for trips and how I'm going to film them. And I would love to put it all together and make an epic mountain bike movie. And I have a few ideas, but I just think the timing is it's just not quite there yet. And when that opportunity strikes, I will be there ready to take advantage of it. So
Yeah.
yeah, even if it's not filming myself, I
Mhm.
I don't have to be the star of the show. Like I would love to produce some kind of a mountain bike film that, you know, displays mountain biking. And honestly, if I can be behind the camera, that could even allow me to focus on um, doing the best quality production as well. And I think, it's something that can go hand in hand with my current career where I'm in the spotlight. Like I can use the skills to nurture that whole thing, but I can also develop my skills to tell other people's stories. And there's no reason that I can't do both and do both well. So just
Yeah.
working hard at it and gonna keep honing the skills for now.
I think it's awesome. Look, I would say that non-mountain bike people, right? They'll look at some of this kind of riding that you do, and they'll go, these people are crazy." But at the end of the day, you're athletes, right? And it's a craft, and you've worked hard at getting there. So, and to do it, you're just not, as you said, just throwing your body in the air to do crazy shit, right? This is very
Yeah.
calculated. And I think if you're telling that story, yeah, I think you open up a lot of people's eyes to. I'm waxing philosophical here, but I think you do open up your people's eyes to the fact that no, we're not. We're athletes, right? And this is just the path we've chosen. And I think it'd be a great way to showcase and introduce people to mountain biking, if you will. So
Yeah. Yeah, I can't help
I
but
don't know.
think about your background, everything you've gone through in your life that would lead you to ultimately making a film. I think that's why I asked the question, because I think you've obviously got an interest in it. You're producing shorter versions now, and yeah, to share mountain biking with the world, uh, that would be a grand opportunity to do so, So yeah, man, I wish you well on that. That's a
Yeah.
big ambition, and it would be awesome to see that come to be one day,
Yeah, I'll keep
Thank
my
you.
Netflix. I'll keep my Netflix subscription, and I'll wait for the movie. So,
Yeah.
Yeah, sounds
Yeah.
good.
hey, but so you're not competing as if you're not competing as much. I don't know how much prize money there is and all that. So, presumably, your living comes in part, presumably from your contract. So, give a shout out to some of those products that you love so much. You said Industry 9, I think, right?
Oh yeah, definitely
Yeah.
Industry
So,
9. Industry 9 is one of my longest standing sponsors. I have a cool story with Industry 9 that I want to share,
sure.
but
Yeah.
when I was working at the bike shop, I bought my first set of Industry 9 wheels as an employee, like through the employee discount program.
Hmm.
And then maybe like a year after that, I was able to meet the team manager at the time, and he started giving me a discount on wheels, which was a little bit better than the employee discount. Then I got my first set of free wheels. Then I started getting paid, and it's like I've literally been able to climb the entire ladder of my career with the support of Industry 9, all the way from buying those wheels at the bike shop. So,
Right on.
um, and that's kind of a similar story with a lot of my sponsors. They've been supporting me through my whole career. Going back to GT Bicycles, that's my frame sponsor. They
Yeah.
picked me up at the very beginning of my mountain bike career when there was any hope of something there. And I was still working at the bike shop, and they were supporting me with frames. And that actually was a relationship that developed. I created a video at Ray's Indoor Mountain Bike Park in Cleveland, and the Cannondale rep at the time was able, like the Durrell sports rep was able to forward that into GT, and that kind of got the whole relationship started. So that was just really cool. They've been with me my whole career, And yeah, just thankful for all that. And then there's also, let's think, we have GT Industry 9, Kenda tires, they've been around since the beginning. Marzocchi suspension, that was a cool one to
Mm.
work with. And yeah, just awesome suspension. Like I said before, I love my bike. Like everything on it is the stuff that I would be buying if I wasn't sponsored. So
That's
yeah,
cool.
Kenda tires, Marzocchi, Title MTB out of Canada. They are kind of at the forefront of innovation for this whole like free ride mountain bike componentry. They make gyros for dirt jumpers so you can do bar spins and just really high quality components for this type of the sport where you beat your bike up a whole lot. Um, but yeah. And then also 510 Adidas. They've been around since the beginning of my career as well. And yeah, just the best shoes in mountain biking. And just I'm so thankful for all of their support. Sometimes it doesn't even feel real that I can live my dream and these companies make it possible. So it's pretty cool.
Man,
Well, a
that's
shout out to the brands for their loyalty and for you sticking with them as well too. I mean, to see it, I mean, every one of those people you said or companies you said is throughout my career, and you don't see that a lot. So
yeah. Well, I think that's
props.
it speaks to the job you're doing, David. I mean, they see value in what you're providing and you're on the right track and you treat people right, you're a good person. So one of the things that Dave touched on about this thing about free ride and athletes, right? There's kind of there's like an element to the sport, right? There is this party element where I think that can undermine, not everybody's engaged in the party, but there are those in the sport that are, party ride and, liquid courage and all this other nonsense. Right. So how do you, and a lot of those guys are some of the biggest names, a lot of times, so how do you balance, first of all, I don't, you're not, I mean, everybody has beer once in a while or whatever, can party from time to time, but that's not like your vibe at all. Your vibe is van life, contests, and content, right? And the party thing is not a big part of it. Can you talk to that a little bit? Because I do think that undermines the athlete side of the sport a little bit.
Or people's perception of it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, yeah, I think like you said, balance, you mentioned the word balance. I think balance is key. If you can strike a balance of maintaining your athleticism, being fit, being strong, um, you gotta, it's like athleticism, it's time on the bike, creativity. You gotta like nurture each one of these areas independently. And like I'm not at all against partying. I just think that, yeah, some people maybe let it slip out of control a little bit. But yeah, like if we're at an event, you will definitely see me at the after party, having a beer, socializing. I think
Yeah.
that can lead to some of the most memorable fun times, as long as you don't like drink so much that you don't remember it, you know.
Yeah.
Right.
But yeah, it's like I enjoy the social atmosphere of the parties. I
Yeah.
just try to maintain a balance of where I don't go overboard, drink responsibly so that I can wake up for the ride the next day.
Right.
Um,
So
just
what you're
all
saying
about
is
balance.
if a big beer company wanted to be a sponsor, you'd be agreeable to it, is what you're saying.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
We'll
Yeah.
see. Let's
Uh,
talk numbers.
yeah.
Hello.
I just remember being stunned that first week I went for Crankworks in Whistler. And I just remember thinking like, I mean, I was maybe 1 o'clock in the morning and the party's going. And I'm just thinking, man, I'm gonna be on a slope tomorrow at 10.
Yeah,
I'm the
Yeah.
guy who wants to get at the bike bar, or at least I used to be. I'd want to get there when it opens and I want to shut it down. Maybe have lunch in the middle, but I want to ride all day. That's kind
for
of my
sure.
goal, right? And to see these guys just so wasted at night, and then the next morning they're on the lift line. I'm just like, wow, okay. So that's maybe another level of athlete I hadn't considered.
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
like I mean, I've seen some crazy situations where people go out and they, they're crazy people all night long. And then
Yeah.
hey, if that's their balance, then if that's the balance they can maintain, then good for them. But for me, I'm like have 3 beers maximum, and and then it's like I have a great time, socialize, um,
You can still
and
remember
then
everything.
yeah, that's the goal, right? What fun is it if you can't remember it? But
Yeah.
yeah, I definitely think my priorities lean more towards being able to ride the next day and just feeling good on the bike while you're riding the next day, So
Yeah.
if partying got in the way of that, then I'd have to reevaluate and yeah, make some changes. But yeah, I like to drink some beers, I like to have a good time. And then I like even more so to get back on the bike the next day and, take advantage of those epic Whistler bike park laps.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
The distinct advantage, he doesn't have to drive the van home. The van is his home. So this is
That's right. Yeah. All right. Well, listen, David, I think we should probably wrap it up. Dave, do you have anything else you want to?
no, man, this was awesome. Just yeah,
Yeah.
don't give us the computer slam. Stick around afterwards for a second after we stop recording. So
Yeah.
Sure.
yeah, this was uh, awesome. Awesome stuff.
Yeah. What a career you've had, David. And like I said earlier, it just speaks to the kind of person that you are, that you've been able to retain these sponsorships in a field where like a lot of guys bounce around because it's just the nature of it, So
Yeah.
you're doing a great job, and we're looking forward to the next chapter, whatever that may be. This year it's going to be travel, have some fun, maybe down the road, maybe you're making a movie, who knows?
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
When you were talking about your dream of like, or you were talking about the guys who were riding across the country and you said you wanted to do it, I
Yeah.
could not help but the filmmaker in me was thinking like that would be so sick to
Oh man.
like follow you in my van, kind of be like a support car, but also be like documentary filmmaker along the way and like tell your story.
Oh
I was
my
just like,
God.
that would be so cool. That's what I was thinking.
I'll
Okay.
text Carson right now. We're on to something.
We
This is
have your number,
Giants.
David.
Yeah.
Yeah, sounds good.
Yeah.
Let's
All
make it
right.
happen.
Well, that would be amazing to have. Oh my gosh. Okay. Well, now I even more inspired to try to make it happen. I still have to
Yeah.
convince my wife though, She's very understanding. I ride my bike a lot. So to say that I'm going
Yeah.
to be gone on the bike for 60 days. Oh my God. But well, we'll see. I've got some years to work on it because I still have to work. So you keep honing your skills. I'll keep working on my wife, Dave. You do the same, and who knows?
Sounds good.
Maybe we're able to pull this off one summer.
Yeah. David, I got the summer off. I'll call you. We don't have to wait for Mike.
Yeah,
Sounds good. Let's make it happen. That would be so
awesome.
All
fun.
right.
All right, David. Let everybody know how can if they don't not familiar with you, how do they follow you? Can you put that out there?
Yeah, for sure. Well, thanks for watching. And if you want to follow me on Instagram, it's David Lieb _, and then on YouTube, which is where I'm going to be really prioritizing content this year, it's David Lieb Bike. So,
Great.
yeah, hit me up, send me a message, ask me some questions. I'm down for whatever.
Yeah, awesome, David. Well,
Sweet.
thanks so much, man. I'm really happy we were able to get you on, and wishing nothing but success in 2023 and beyond. So,
Yeah.
uh,
Yeah. You
best
had
wishes to you.
yeah, you had a hardcore roadie fully engaged for an hour and a half. So this is great stuff.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys for having me. It's been fun. We'll have to do it again sometime.
Cool,
Yeah.
man.
All right. That's it, everybody. Thanks for joining us.